Good evening and welcome to Doc and Sock. We're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Mississippi, the heart of the Deep South. Mississippi, this is ground zero. You know, most things emanate out of Mississippi. Most blacks came out of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and then were distributed through the rest of the country. But this is ground zero. This is where it all began, and this is where the struggle continues. Right here in the South, in the heart of the South, in Mississippi. You know, more than 56% of all African Americans in this country reside in the South. That's 60% of our population. So if tornadoes come through and wipe out the South, we lose 60% of our population because we're huddled down here in the southern states. Now, blacks in the northern states and the East Coast and the West Coast seem to do a little bit better. They seem to do a lot better in Seattle than they do in Jackson, Mississippi. And that is, in my opinion, a mystery. Why is it that blacks can do better in places where there are fewer blacks than they can do in places where they are the majority? And it just goes against the grain with everything that Dr. Henderson has said to us about how blacks ought to control and rule where they are in the majority, and we would have an economy that we control. But it doesn't seem to work that way. If you really want to go get ahead as an African American business person, then go somewhere where there are few blacks, and your chances are tremendously increased. And we're going to talk about why that is tonight. Now, if you're watching us on Facebook, share this program with your friends and family. Send us stars. You know, follow us on Facebook. It's tremendously important. You know, social media has the grip on our younger generation, and we realize that, and so we have to reach them there, and you have to help us with that. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, then subscribe to our program. Our subscribers are growing every day. I keep a track on Roland Martin. I think that Roland is the model for us as a streaming service. So I keep track on what he does and how he does it. And I am amazed at the quality of their program and the quality of their content. And it is something worthy of emulating. So we need your help on YouTube. We need your help there, not only to increase our viewing hours, but also our subscribers, etc. Now, when you go to YouTube, you can find all of our shorts. You can find all of our past videos. You can find all of our documents there on YouTube in our own playlist. A playlist consists of everything that Doc and Sock has ever done. Would be right there for your viewing. Now, if you're watching us on our very own platform, WeBelieveDigital.com. Now, let's take a moment with that. WeBelieveDigital.com, our very own platform, no different than Netflix and Showtime and Prime Video, no difference. It's our very own platform. The only difference that I can find is that our content is better. The quality of our content and the subject matter that we discuss is better than I find on those platforms. But we are a platform, just like Black Stars is a platform. And so We Believe Digital. That's who we are. We need you to support us there on that website. Hit the donate button. Follow us there and be a part of this great journey that we are embarking upon. Now, as always, my co-host, a man that needs no introduction, is in the studio. A man that I always say is one of the most dangerous men in America. Why is that? Because he was born on a Mississippi plantation. And his chances of surviving and getting off of that plantation back some 79, 80 years ago, it was slim to none. So many did not make it. And I always talk about that, the quote that from Booker T. Washington. It means so much. It's not the heights that you obtain, but the depths from which you came. And this man had the most humble beginning that you can have. The only thing worse than being born on a plantation in Mississippi, I really can't think of anything worse than that, and we're going to discuss that in just a moment. But Doc, it's good to have you in the studio once again, and good evening. How have you been?
Well, as usual, I've been real good. All I do is think, learn, and tell people how to change their lives in 30, 60, or 90 days. And for your information, Mr. Socrates and our guests, most of them don't want to change their lives.
Now, that is a statement that we're not just going to let go by. We're going to come back and we're going to deal with that, because nobody wants to be poor. Nobody wants to live in substandard housing. Nobody wants those kind of conditions. So we're going to challenge Doc on that statement when we come back. But we have the pleasure and the honor of having the founder, the owner, the CEO, the person that runs SVP TV out of Memphis, Tennessee. Debbie, it is always good to have you in the studio. It's been a while since you've been here. Tell our viewers a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how the world is treating you.
The world is treating me wonderful, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys again. Thank you all for inviting me again, Or did I just pop on in?
No, you were invited.
I was invited. But I'm Debbie McClennon, the CEO of SVP TV Network, and we are a TV network that's glowing and growing. We're here in Jackson, Mississippi. We launched on last Friday here in Jackson on Channel 98. We're in Memphis on Channel 17, and we're in Chicago, 2025. So we're doing real good, along with Roku, Fire, and Apple. Comcast, hey, we're doing awesome, and I'm so glad to be here to talk about it.
Well, we're certainly going to talk about black media. Now, Doc, let's get back to you for a moment. Why would you make a statement that people don't want to have high standards of living and live the American dream and participate in all of the benefits of being a first-class citizen?
Well, my experience has been it is because most people have cultural patterns. The culture, their environment, has been telling them all their lives. And they also see it, that all the people I know are poor, broke, hardworking, always looking for something from the government, don't want to take advantage of educational opportunities, refuse to move when their opportunities is elsewhere, believe too much and too strong in mama, and I think I might be able to do better if I go and take something, sell a few drugs, break in a few houses, drop out of school, have a child or two, on and on and on. And my job is to give them a 3-point plan as to how you can solve this problem. I usually say, well, what do you want to do? Name 3 things. They will name 3 things. This is simple, elementary. And I say, you tell me the one that you have the best experience in or any certification. They tell me that. Next thing I want to know, did you finish high school? Yes or no? Do you have any interest in additional education training? No, I don't. Now that will kill you right there. Because I didn't say you need to go to college. I didn't say you need to go to a community college, because people like that usually don't be very successful in those situations. I say I can get you hooked up in a certification program where you can get a certification in your area of interest in 3, 5, or 6 months. And we'll pay for it for you. I haven't had but one to finish that in 15 years. Finish all the requirements. We give them a contract to sign with 10 things on it. And they have to do all 10 to keep the contract. Only had one that's on a current contract. And this man been on it for about 15 years. And he's in a PhD program, and we started with him in middle school.
Now, Doris is our Chicago correspondent, so Debbie, sorry for that. But Debbie,
Yes.
Doc's statements are, in my opinion, a bit harsh. Do you find that people don't want to work or the people don't want to grow? What's your thoughts on what he said?
Well, it's a mixture. There's people that definitely want to work. Then you got the lazy ones that don't want to work. They want to steal and kill, and make $20 breaking in something in their own neighborhood where there is no money. They don't have no money. There's no money in the neighborhood, but they're still breaking in. So it's a mixture to me. There is some people that really, I worked with a group of kids last weekend, and they were so eager to learn media. Didn't even want to leave and go back to school. But then you get some that are just lazy. So it's a mixture.
Well, it is a mixture, but I'm talking about 75% of the people that I've worked with for the last 50 years.
Ooh.
75%. Now, that is bad news, and
It
many
is
people
bad.
just don't have the faith and the ability in their own self to believe that they can do it. And I know you do not have to be even average to move ahead in life and do some things that you want to do if you stop feeling comfortable talking about your mother, your grandmother, and all of those people were poor. They dropped out of school.
So I have to do the same
I have to do
thing.
the same thing. I want to stay
Yeah.
close to them, and I don't want to go and learn anything to get one of those jobs where I'm making $50,000 to $75,000 a year without a college degree. I don't want to study when I get into the program and they start paying me. I don't want to finish that. I'm not going to get there on time. I'm going to quit when I get sick. When someone dies in the family, I'm going to go to Chicago to a funeral.
I got to go to the funeral.
That's right.
You might not have seen them in 30 years.
That's exactly
But you
right.
got to get to that funeral.
That's right.
I have not figured that one out yet.
Well, that's cultural.
Okay.
Environment. That'll kill you.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you guys are overlooking the elephant in the room. Our people have been conditioned to accept those terms that they're living under. I told you once, Doc, about the flea that was put in the jar. And when he was put in there and they put the lid on him, that he jumped and he bounced off of that lid and he bumped his head. And after a while, he kept jumping, but he didn't jump hard enough to bump his head anymore. So after that, you could take the lid off and the flea wouldn't jump out.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I've been doing for years. I give you a chance to take that lid off so you can jump out. But folks don't want to go that extra effort. It's all about going that extra effort and stretching one more time, even if you feel your heart is about to explode. You have to take that extra effort and sacrifice one more week, one more month, one more year, and make it happen or die. It's
Now-
just that simple.
Now, Debbie, how do you uncondition a person that's been conditioned like that? I mean, what Doc sounds like, Haley Barbour, that blacks just ought to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, or what
See,
Martin Luther King said. But
Doc works with you work with the adults.
That's right.
I work with the
disadvantaged
children.
for 40 years.
Yeah.
Disadvantaged young adults and older adults.
Right, and they are conditioned one way or another. I'm sorry. But I work with the children, so what I found out with the children, when they come in and they just, lax and don't really want to do, I just start treating them like I do my children. I start giving them a lot of love, and I really talk to them. And when I do that, at the end of the program, they finished everything and they ready to, start their own company or go to mainstream media and get a job. I guess if we catch them when they're much younger, but once they've been through this, it's kind of hard But then too, maybe as an instructor, sometimes, because we already know there's something wrong out here with the people, right? Maybe if we would be a little bit more soft, that might help. I found out that everybody wants to be loved. Everybody. And when you really show love to people, that changes. That's the greatest gift, love. If we would be a little bit more soft and understanding, I think that'll draw better.
You mean you telling me I'm not understanding? I had one of the toughest lives in the history of
I think
Mississippi.
you're tough. I think you're hard. I think you probably look at people like, don't come in here with that nonsense. And this is the 12 steps, and you need to finish them. So maybe if hello, I'm so glad you're here. Here's the 12 steps, and I know you can finish them.
Well, I don't think that we're hard enough. I think
I
that
think we
that
are.
America has been feminized. I think that, when I see commercials with men in red boxers, I wonder why would they do that? I see men jumping off of diving boards in strange looking diving suits. I think that America has been feminized and that we are not strong enough. We're not capable of even defending ourselves now because we have no strength inside of our community. So all of the women are running the heads of these households, and we got a crisis on our hand with young boys running wild and rampant, and they may not be willing to go through your program, Doc, but they are going to rule these streets. And that's what we have going on out here now.
Well, that's why you have someone like the police chief here in Jackson, Mississippi, saying, I know who these potential criminals are, and I'm going to meet with them. He's talking about the gangbangers. They cause about 75% of the problems in the so-called black communities and in the inner cities. When I worked for the Job Corps system back in the 1990s, at one of the centers, we had 18 different gangs. I told you this in a previous show. I got all those gang members and put them together and gave them leadership responsibilities that were in writing. I say the first time you make an effort to get grown and start using your old tactics, I'm going to have you sent home because the judge sent you down here, and I'm going to call him. At least, have the counselors to do it. I had very few problems. Sometime on weekends, they just disappear. They just leave, go home. We call it leaving the center. They didn't want to have that discipline. And then I would give a good prayer, say, I'm glad he or she is gone. And some of the girls were the same. But some of those guys, those gangbangers, were excellent young men and women. And when they had that discipline and had those counselors to work with them and got in those trades and vocational and academic programs to get those additional deficiencies removed, man, some of them did great things, still are doing great things. And now they're 50 and 60 years of age.
Well, let's talk
That's why I
about
say
that.
it's a mixture.
Yeah.
It's a mixture because there's a lot of people that want to be reached. They're waiting on a helping hand. Then you got the other ones, I don't care what you do. They just, this is it. This is my life. This is what I want to do.
Well, let me tell you what I always believe. I gave you the example of the police chief in Jackson. I think your chief in Memphis did the same
It's the same thing, yes.
See, when you know who
Chicago did the same thing.
that's right, a lot of places.
Yeah,
When you
right.
know who the criminals are in the community, I would talk to them individually and say, well, this is the data sheet on you, John Doe. You have been in jail 3 times. You've been charged with 4 murders. You've been selling drugs. You've been raping people. You've done these 30 things on this sheet. Now, this is my new program. If you don't do these things, I'm going to have you arrested for some of these things. The reason I'm telling you this, I used to be a police officer in 2 states when I was working all them other jobs. And we always knew who the criminals were. I done told Socrates about this many times. We knew who the people that were selling drugs, running prostitutions. We knew who the so-called white-collar criminals were. We knew who the preachers and the others that were cheating on their wives and girlfriends and boyfriends. We know those that were abusing their children. We knew them because we had informers to tell us. And then the police chief, I never got that far, they will let those guys continue to be criminals in the community just to tell on the other folks. And the chief in those areas, Jackson, others, ought to get those boys, do just what I say, and say, if you don't follow the law, we already have it on you, we are monitoring you, and we want you to be a good citizen, and this is your job from now on. Or leave Jackson, leave Memphis, leave Chicago, and I'm going to give you 2 or 3 days to decide whether you want to work with me or not.
Now, we again are not dealing with the root cause of our condition.
That's another story.
Well, the thing about these gangs that we're talking about, now she said that everybody wants to belong, everybody wants to be loved. And so our boys are going into these gangs because they want to belong. And they're not going to the churches and the faith-based organizations. They are moving inside of these kinds of organizations so that they can feel loved and belong. Now, Doctor, you gotta know that there's a condition out here that's leading our children in a certain direction.
I know that, Doc, Socrates, but let me tell you what I also know. I know that those 2 organizations you mentioned don't want those kind of young people. The schools don't want them. They cause too much trouble for the school. They can't give them a good pass rate so the stats will look good when they turn their reports in to the superintendent of education or the Department of Education. The churches don't want them. They can't even get the kids from the good parents. When you go to the churches, you don't even see the young people there. And I've stopped by a lot of them, some years ago. I don't go too often now. So the churches don't want them, don't encourage or demand that they come. If I had a church, every member that I have with children, I would encourage them highly to bring their children and give them 30 days to do it, or tell them you're going to be put out the church.
Oh.
You either raise your family properly, that's going to have us in a position where we're responsible, or you go to a church down the street. They're one of those side churches.
Doris, your thoughts on that?
Well, he's right about not to put the people out, but you're right about the parents don't care anymore as far as bringing children to church. I'm going to church. You don't feel like going, you stay at home. I didn't do that. My kids, when I go, they had to go.
That's exactly the way it's
my
supposed to be.
husband went, they are going too. Never do you tell me you're not going. But the parents, earlier you made a statement, and I said I'll piggyback. But you said the women are running the household. I wanted to tell you, yes, because the man is not there, so the women has to run the household. But when it comes down to the children, women, you need to make the children go to church with you. Make the children go to the grocery store with you. Wherever you go, take the kids with you, especially nowadays.
So let me ask you this then.
Okay.
There's a move, and there are bills, and there are ordinances, and especially in the city of Jackson, that says that the parent is going to be charged with a crime for the acts of their children,
And should be
locked up and put in jail.
And should be, because you should know where your children are. You should know where your children are.
Wow.
I took my kids wanted to go to the movies. I took them there. When they got older and they didn't want me to stay, I either sit in the back or I drop them off at the movies and I pick them up at the movies. But this going with your friends all the time, it just got too much. And now this is what we've got: uncontrollable children. And I'm talking about children, little kids, 6, 7 years old, uncontrollable.
Yeah, sleeping overnight with friends. And
Sleeping overnight?
I bet you didn't allow that.
No, my parents didn't allow it, and I did not allow it. Cousins, yes, but that my sisters would be with them or I would be with them, but never sleeping overnight at friend's house. No.
I just don't think the parents have the ability to correct the conditions that we're in. I think there's too much pressure. I think the economic gap, the wealth gap in America, that black people are experiencing high rates of poverty, and when you in a high poverty condition, you cannot get to the details and pay the attention to those things that you
That
guys
does
are
not
describing.
have anything to do with it. Nothing. Parents did not parent when those kids was little. So now that they are a little bigger, you scared of them because you think they're gonna knock your head off. That's because you played with them when they were children. You don't. Your children should fear you like they fear God. And I'm talking about as a baby. That baby keep crying, and you 7 and 8 months old now. I'm gonna give you that little pop. You know, you don't beat them, but you definitely pop them.
Let me tell you what you don't do.
What?
What has not been done enough in most communities. The parents didn't have study time, mandatory study time, and curfews in their homes. Very
Right.
few have both.
Right.
And you start that off in preschool.
That's
And
what
when
I'm
you
saying.
train that child that he has to study, he has to learn new words, he's going to have to be accountable to mom and dad every week, at least once a week. That's all he will know to do. You let him know, I expect you to be an honor student. That's what I expect. Starting in preschool. I expect you to go to school and listen to the teachers. I expect you to get involved in extracurricular activities. And you will be going to church. I had to go to church for 18 years, and most of the times I didn't want to go. But I had to do it.
Had to go, and
to
you still
save-
going.
No, I don't go now.
Oh,
on
well,
a
I
regular
do.
basis. Well,
I
you,
do.
you should.
I know.
Now, you guys are old school, and I get that. You know, you are expressing a philosophy that worked back in the day with your parents and worked for you. But the family structure is different today. Kids are having children at a younger age. You got grandmothers under the age of 30. And so you things are different, and society is different. Now, my brother, who is an attorney in Memphis, Tennessee, Attorney Coleman Garrett, said that society now, there are three groups out here that are extremely dangerous. He said that you got the police, you got the Christians, and you got the gang members. He said, now these three groups right here are extremely dangerous. Now, if we see that in that way, that the Christians are dangerous, and because they commit all of these crimes, and I'm talking about those that call on God to support them in wars and conflicts and all of the evil things that happens in America. And then you got these gangs out here, and then the police are as dangerous as ever. We are scared to death of the police in Jackson. Now we get George Floyd, and we get other incidents that didn't serve us well current today in the history of the police. Going back to Emmett Till, it's just too much to just ignore. And so that's why the Jews say, never again. Well, what is it that black folks say? We say, do it some more?
No. We say we want to go to heaven when we die. That's what we say. Most of them that I know. I used to say the same thing. That's all I lived for. If I was accidentally cussed, it'd take me 3 days to pray and try to tell the Lord to forgive me so I won't go to hell. I was afraid of hell. And that was something that was taught to me when I was young. One day my mom say, put your hand up to that fire, boy. I put my hand up to the fire. She said, keep it there for a while. I kept it there for about 30 or 40 seconds. And my fingers started getting hot, real hot. She said, I want you to remember, hell is 7 times hotter than that fire. And if you don't listen to me and your daddy, you're going to go to hell when you die. And I was scared of hell until I got about 19.
Well, you should have been. We're up against a commercial break. We're having an interesting conversation with our guest, Debbie McClendon, out of Memphis, Tennessee, the CEO and president of SVP TV that launched in Jackson, Mississippi on Channel 98 on Comcast last weekend. And we are proud to announce that We Believe will be putting programs on that channel. So We Believe Digital moves into the TV arena based upon the opportunity that Debbie has brought and presented to us, and we're very, very grateful for that. Now, we're going to a commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to deal with the state of our union by our president that's going on live right now. Stay tuned.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.DOT grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Welcome back. We Believe Broadcasting Network, live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, you guys know that we need your support on all social media. All social media. We can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and our very own platform, WeBelieveDigital.com. And next week, we are joining Channel 98 on Comcast here in Jackson, Mississippi. It's a significant opportunity for us to showcase our content and our talent here that's being produced in this studio. And we've been given this opportunity by the CEO and president of SVP TV out of Memphis, Tennessee. And tell us a little bit about SVP TV.
SVP TV, we on our network, I want you to know that we have original programming and classic TV. So we have award shows. So you don't just get to see local individuals coming in doing talk shows, but we have music. We have classics like Flip Wilson shows. Sanford and Sons. You get to see all of that, especially overnight. So, we are a TV station that is putting out some good content, some awesome content.
Yeah, do you have any of those old quartet shows?
I sure do.
Now, that is something that's lacking in America. A lot of this
I have it.
Temporary Christian music is totally not relevant. It's not helping anyone but the artist.
We've got the Pilgrim Jubilees, the Soul Stirs, Willingham. I just did a video of Willingham from way back in the day. So we have classic quartet.
Boys like the Blind Boys from Mississippi.
I got the Blind
Alabama
Boys.
And places like that.
And on Sunday mornings.
Old country preachers that can't read but can speak better than Billy Graham. Those kind of sermons that I used to hear years
and what
ago.
we're doing is working on bringing back TV the way it used to be, especially for the people that are watching television. They're not on social media. They're at home watching television. They're surfing on Sunday mornings, but I'm going to keep advertising so that they'll know you can go to Channel 98 and you can enjoy some programming that from back in the day that you enjoyed in the past. So yes, we do have Christian TV. We have a mixture.
So look forward to Channel 98 Comcast here in the Jackson MSA. Over 500,000 households in this marketplace in the MSA right here in Jackson, Mississippi. So we look forward to that. Y'all check it out. Comcast 98 SVP TV. Partner with We Believe Digital.
Yeah.
We're on the move. We're on the move. Now, Doc, let's get back into our program. I take odds with the conversation and the direction that you and Debbie are going in.
Well, that's fine. We like that.
I
because-
I see.
See, let me tell you, I'm going to break in. It's not a profession to do it. I'm going to break in. We like it because we know we are on point 100%, and you're less than that.
Okay. I get you. Now, I see it that we have child soldiers out here. They're running rampant. They're doing anything. They're killing, they robbing, they shooting. But they are expressing themselves in their condition. You cannot ignore the wealth gap in America and in Jackson, Mississippi, the impacts of poverty, the lack of jobs and opportunity. And you cannot color us just lazy and shiftless and
Well,
irresponsible.
now, I haven't done that, Mr. Socrates. I have not done that. That's your assumption.
And is there really a lack of jobs?
No.
Because there's a lot of people
No.
hiring. It's a lack in people wanting to work. They want to work a day or two, and then they want to take off and have fun. But I don't think there's a lack in jobs, and we need to quit saying that.
And then the opportunity.
There is a 40% unemployment rate in black males under
Because-
the age of 25.
Because they won't get up and go to work.
Or won't start jobs and do the things they can do.
Right. Well, go in and start working, whether it's flipping burgers or whatever. They work a few hours and then I'm tired, I ain't gonna do this. Pants hanging off and going on out the door. That's why.
we
that's
call
why
we
it's
call
high.
we call things. There's a such thing called a living wage. You know, you can be employed and yet not able to pay your bills. You're underemployed. What do you say about that?
Well, I thought that the minimum wage was raised. You know, like during COVID, all the
All that can change.
restaurants
All that
started.
change.
Did that go back down?
They're going back to
How
where
you
it
gonna
used to
go
be.
back down? They went
Because
back
they're able
down?
to do it. If you were paying somebody $17 an hour during COVID, and you went back down to 9 or 10, those guys are gone. So now they're unemployed, and they have the same qualifications they had previously.
But you know, too, let me say this. When I was younger, I worked for beans, you know. I had to work for beans because I still had to pay. Those beans still help pay some bills. So I'd rather pay some bills than to pay nothing and just be out there stealing and killing or becoming a bum. So we need to work and then work our way up to get more money. I'm sorry. I just can't see a person with a family and you decide, I'm not going to work, I'm not going to do anything. And then you get put out your house because they paid you $7.25.
It happens every day.
You gotta work and build yourself up. And most people that does stuff like that have no experience, but they come in wanting $20 an hour. I gotta pay you $20 an hour to train you. And then as soon as I train you, you gone somewhere else to get trained all over again, just training all your life.
Well, why do you think your current president, loved the immigrants so? He knows those guys and ladies will work for the minimum wage or less.
But they getting smart too.
And he knows that there are some people that won't work. And he's going to replace them, and then he's going to put the screws on them and tighten up on the immigrants later on.
And I think that's what happened too. When COVID came and then after COVID, the president started giving out all his money. So in order to get that government money back, they raised all the prices on all the food, brought back down the wages, you know. So they built us up just to bring us back down. And that was wrong.
In Mississippi, our governor declined the unemployment benefits and said that he was ending the subsidy during the COVID period. In Mississippi, Mississippi has a difficult time understanding that the poor people here needs assistance, and that's why we've had welfare scandals, and that's why we had the return of the unemployment benefits. That's why we've had the lack of Medicaid expansion. All of these things are designed to keep a certain segment of the population in a position that fosters undesirable behavior. You guys don't connect the dots.
Well, I connected. See, that is is something that is definitely correct. I go with you 100%. See, when you keep these people miseducated, see, there's a difference in miseducation and uneducated. You are working with your friends then because you're going to practice more privatization, and your friends going to get all them hoodlums and put them in those contract jails that these privatizers have put together. And they are going to have a mandate where the judge says, or the state says, you're going to have a 90% population, and the police are going to work with the judges and others, and they're going to keep those boys and girls in these prisons. And that's why the government got to keep some people ready to go to jail whenever they need them up to a certain point. It is contract law. In most of these private contractors, you got to have a certain percentage of prisoners in your jail to keep your contract.
Wow.
I know what I'm talking about.
I know you do. I know you do. We're coming to the end of our program, so we got to move quickly here. President Biden is giving the State of our Union tonight. Now, Biden is falling way behind President Trump in the polls. What does he need to do to gain Black America's support to give him a chance of defeating Donald Trump in your eyesight? We'll start with you, Debbie.
What does he need to do?
What does he need to do?
I guess stay on course tonight. Don't let that mind switch or sway. Answer all the questions and be strong. Be very strong.
You seem to be saying that he has difficulty staying on point.
I'm saying stay straight, don't fall. Just be straight. Like he was on TV last week and did an awesome job. His eyes was kind of, tight, but he answered all the questions and he stayed on course. That's what he needs to do tonight. Be strong, stay on course, don't fall, don't let that mind, just stay focused.
Doc, we got a president here that she's worried about falling. and
Not so much falling, but just make sure he answer the right questions and do not veer to the right or left. Stay straight.
And my question was, that what does he need to do to gain the support of Black America? And she seemed to have given him a pass when it comes to what he needs to do to gain the support of Black America. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to tell you that I'm going to criticize my guest first. That's the way Democrats talk. They beat around the bush when they don't want to make their leaders responsible. Your pride.
Now you don't know whether I'm a Democrat or a Republican.
I know I don't. I told you I'm just.
You assuming.
I'm just knowing what I'm talking about with an assumption.
Go right ahead.
With an assumption. Now the thing is, the president needs to do several things in his speech tonight. He needs to tell the people how he is going to close that border and how long it's going to take to keep those 30 and 40,000 people from coming in here every day. He needs to talk about creating more jobs and training programs where he will pay people that need the skills to go to these short-term educational opportunities that could be available. He needs to look at the southern states and all the other states that's closing schools and give the school districts, not the governors or the legislators, money to repurpose the schools, and all those people that's dropped out of school from 14 up to about 30, getting these short-term, high-tech, vocational and technical programs and get a livable wage skill that they can get in a few weeks up to a few months. Then he needs to start finding the immigrants that they have here by the millions, and they know who they are and they know where they live, and give them a chance to get themselves together or deport them, send them back to their countries.
In order for the president to do all of that, he's going to have to stay straight, look forward, listen real good, answer the questions correctly, and don't let that burn.
And the last thing he has to do, this on the international level, he's going to have to give these international terrorists, the so-called Democrats, and the other liberators. A lot of people are called terrorists, and all they're trying to do is do like George Washington and others, fight for their country. you see, and run the colonialists back to where they're supposed to be. He's going to have to get over there with the Palestinians, with the Israelis, and all those other countries like Jordan and Egypt and the Middle Eastern people, and work out a plan, have a ceasefire, then have a two-state solution in that Pacific area, and let those people manage their own affairs and make sure that they have equity in politics, economic development, and in military. And of course, he has to ensure that we're going to give the new state a nuclear weapon like they have in China, Russia, North Korea, the United States of America, in most of the European countries, and all over. When you get equity like that, you have one government, one vote, and don't be playing on that class system. He's not going to do that because his people are not going to allow it. The people that sponsor wars and always talking about their rumors of wars, the rumor is going to be realistic, and you'll be amazed how many big industrialists are getting rich of wars throughout the world, and they are Republicans and Democrats. They all work together. They're going to keep some wars going on, and that's what they're supposed to do because that's their industry, making airplanes and bombs. They want their stocks to be high. They want the dividends to be high for their investors. That's capitalism for you. Who cares about lives?
We're out of time here. Time flies. We really need more time. And so we're going to talk to our sponsors about that. But we're always going to be here on our platform and all social media. You can find us there as well. But we're adding the opportunity to view us on Comcast 98 right here in Jackson, Mississippi. So look for us there as well. Now, our time has run out. So, Debbie, we would like for you to give your closing remarks, and then Doc, if you will.
Well, all I can say is I've had a wonderful time sitting here with you guys, chit-chat. And I hope y'all have me back again. And I'm looking forward to all of you that are watching us to watch Comcast Channel 98 in Jackson, Mississippi.
Doc.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to understand that there can be changes made in your life. If you want to make them, if you want your life and your well-being to maintain the status quo, keep on doing what you're doing. We have an opportunity, Mr. Sock. We have invitations for the next 2 weeks to go to the southern part of Mississippi. Got to go up in northeast Mississippi and talk to a group of preachers. They want to do some things. Got several little engagements here in the Metro Jackson area. And folks, if you all want us to come and tell you how to solve your problems and help you move forward so you can get ready to maintain the next 300 years and be an independent person and a citizen, you call us at 601-201-1957 or email us at clu369@gmail.com, and we'll come to you. We're just like the prophets. We're just like Jesus. When they called Jesus, he got on his shoes, called his...
Or not?
No, I don't go to church often, but I would go when I'm invited. I'm not a member anywhere, but I go when I'm invited.
Okay.
And we'll do just like Jesus. We'll come to you and tell you how to survive. But all I tell the people when they invite us, to feed the people first. Have a little food for them. Something to drink and something solid to eat. Then we can talk to them.
You've been watching We Believe Digital, Doc and Sock. We broadcast 3 times a week. You can get us on Tuesdays at 8, Thursdays at 8, and Fridays at 8. And we'll also be on Channel 98, Comcast 98, starting next week. We're very proud of that affiliation and looking forward to bringing great content to that platform and bringing great content to the viewers all over the world. And so as we expand, as we build new relationships, as we demonstrate that black folk can work together, that we can come together, we can make something go cooperatively, then others will catch on and we'll begin to do that as well. Now, final remarks from me on the President Biden. President Biden, black empowerment, economic empowerment is the number one thing that needs to happen here in America. We cannot allow all of the benefits and programs that's going into the Hispanic community, going into the border crossing, and leave out African Americans that are suffering throughout this entire country. The wealth gap is real. Poverty in the black community is real. Poverty in Mississippi is real. Have your vice president come down here and talk to us at We Believe, and let us take into some areas that she can show the rest of the world that yes, the war is blazing over in Israel, and the fight there between Israeli and Palestine is real, but there's a fight and a war going on in Jackson, Mississippi as well. 80% of our black folk are in the prison populations are African Americans. That's too high. That's way too high. Now, we realize that you released some 30,000 blacks when you came into office because they shouldn't have been there in the first place on trumped-up charges, marijuana and things that we are just social environments and social drugs that today we say it's all right, can even prescribe. And so this kind of justice system, this kind of lack of opportunity is killing our folk in the African American community. President Biden, we need you to fix that in your next term if the American people so see fit to give you that opportunity. This has been We Believe Digital. Until the next time, we want you to stay safe and good night.
Good night.
It should have been a 2.